If you're here, it's probably because you are an entrepreneur and have a very busy schedule. So I know you're stretched for time already, and I'll make sure to give you as much value as I can in a short period of time. So I will dive right in. I'm going to talk to you about how you can organize your business in such a way that you can double your productivity and revenue while cutting your work time in half. But first, let me give you a little context. So if I would ask you now to make a list with all the things you do in your business, how many things would be on that list? Are you doing sales, marketing? What about customer service? Now, if you are the president of the company, that list should have only 2 activities on it. 1 is establishing company goals and strategies, and 2, it's managing budgets. And maybe also the one thing that you're the best at, a genius place. Any additional function that you have in your business, it's actually a bottleneck that slows down the growth of your business. Because realistically, as your business grows, you will run out of available hours in a day, right? And unless you find a way to get rid of some of these activities and either completely get rid of them or get your team to take over some of them, your business growth will stop right there. So you're gonna ask, how do you do that? It's easier said than done, right? Many of our clients actually try to delegate and hire staff to take over some of their duties, and they ended up even more frustrated than before because not only the people they hired didn't do things exactly the way they wanted to, but they end up having to micromanage, they end up losing a lot of money sometimes, and they just went back to the way things they were before, thinking that their business actually simply doesn't work that way. But the truth is that any business can work that way if you build the right systems and transition these duties the right way. So I'm gonna give you a tip that I realize in my own business and the businesses that I work with. More important than hiring the right person, it's actually having the right operating system that will produce consistent results no matter who performs it. So let's talk about that operating system I'm talking about, and why is it so important to build systems for your business. The first reason you want to create systems in your business is because of predictability. Now, when I say predictability, I mean that's essentially what all of us want in our business, right? We want to be certain that the business is going to grow. And we want to be confident that when we go on vacation, for example, that things will continue to run and that things will actually continue to grow. And that each and every piece and person within the company doesn't need to come back to me as the owner or to you as the owner in order for things to get done. This is why if you want more predictability and you want the business to be able to run without you, you have to start looking for ways to create systems in each and every single department of your business. The second reason to create systems in your business is efficiency, right? So first we look for predictability. So we know that we're gonna achieve specific results and outcomes every single time. But we also wanna do it with the least amount of waste, right? There are a lot of things that you are probably doing right now in your business that you probably shouldn't be doing at all. These are things that you can either completely eliminate, or you can delegate it to somebody else, or you can even outsource. Now, in order for you to delegate this, to delegate something to somebody that it actually gets done in a predictable way, you need to create a system for it. And if someone can take a system that you hand them and show them the process for the results to come out exactly how you want them to, without you having to do it, it creates leverage for you as the owner. And you're able to start stepping out of each one of these tasks and activities so you can focus what you should be focusing on the growth of your business and spending your time in your zone of genius. The third reason you want systems in your business is because it really sets your team up for growth potential, right? So let's say you have an assistant in your business and they've been with you for a few years and they either want to grow within your company and you want to promote them, or they have to leave the job for some reasons. So whatever the next role is, your assistant needs to be able to clearly communicate and train the new assistant that's coming to replace him. And the best and most efficient way to do that is to create clear training systems that teach that new assistant how he or she is supposed to operate and achieve the results and outcomes as desired for the role in your business. Having a system keeps your business operating consistently no matter who comes and goes in your business as far as staff goes. Now, you probably already tried freeing up your plate a little bit and didn't work out. Or you tried hiring good people in the past and it just didn't work out. We all know that we have to delegate because we're getting burned out, but most of us don't know how to do it the right way. So if this is you, this training is for you. Now, before we go any deeper with this, let me tell you a little bit about how I become expert in building self-managed businesses. As you probably know by now already, I am Adriana Cowart, mergers and acquisition specialist and the president of Chiška Group Business Brokers, which is a business brokerage company that sells multi-million-dollar corporations all over the United States with a focus on the south of the United States. Now, in 2014, I had a client that asked me to sell his business. He had a 20-year-old business that's been making about $12 million a year in sales, and he has been doing that consistently for 15 years in a row. He was selling some high-ticket products with a profit margin of about 20%. And what that meant is that at the end of the year, he was able to keep about $2.4 million as pure profit. Now, the business was valuated at $8.6 million, and the seller was ready to retire and just let somebody else have it. At first, I was super excited to get him as a client because it seemed that his business was going to be a very easy sell. The income has been consistent for many years, the profit margin was really nice, and the business actually has built a very good reputation in the industry, and it was very well known. To my surprise though, even though I had a lot of buyer interest, nobody would commit and nobody would make an offer to buy. Everybody was nervous to purchase the company, thinking that they won't be able to produce the same revenue because the owner was too involved in the day-to-day operations, and they were thinking that since they don't know the business as well as the previous owner, they won't be able to replace him fast enough and the business is not going to make the same amount of money. But both the seller and I really wanted to sell the business. The seller was 68 years old and he was really ready to retire, and on my end, honestly, I really wanted a commission. So the seller and I decided to work together and reorganize the business in a way that it can run without the owner's involvement. Because we realized really fast that the only way that we're going to be able to get that $8.6 million is if we make the business self-managed and easy to transfer to a new owner. Now, we were very aware that we had to do that transition very carefully because we had a timeline. The owner was advanced in age and he knew he doesn't have forever, so we couldn't really afford to make many mistakes. And we realized that if we put the duties of the owner in the hands of employees that don't perform well, that can cause the business a lot of revenue loss, which is gonna lower the business value and prevent any buyer from buying it even more. So we started working on it, and in that particular case, the process took 8 months. We studied the business models that pharmaceutical companies have, also the business model of Amazon, Google, and other major companies, and we built our system based on the same principles. We had few trial and errors, but we finally set up a system that worked out great. Now, one unexpected side effect of the new system was that while the work itself was way smoother and took less time to perform, the income actually grew considerably. The company ended up getting 38% more contracts compared with the previous years, and based on the system that we had in place, we were actually able to project the same revenue for the following years, which increased the asking price for the business to $10.8 million, and we were able to sell it at that price. There was such an aha moment for both the seller and I. Without intending to, we created a method of simplifying the business and put in a position to grow organically and consistently, while requiring less hours of work and way less involvement from the owner of the business. So in my company, we've used this method ever since with a lot of our business selling clients to help them eliminate themselves from operations and increase the value and appeal of their businesses before selling it. But word spread around and we started getting requests to use this system for clients that were not actually selling their businesses. So we fine-tune the process. We make it focus on simplifying the business with the purpose of scaling the business, and made it possible to implement in as little as 6 weeks. And we called it Build to Scale Simplify, or internally we just call it the Simplify program. And we've used this program with businesses ranging from $100,000 in revenue all the way to $20 million in revenue. And even though each business that we work with is different, the principles that the systems are built on are universal, and they are adjustable to any type of business. So this is how I ended up spending so many years helping business owners simplify their business. And now I am going to share with you the principle I used to help them, so you can use them in your own business also. Now, to get the most out of this video, go get a piece of paper and a pen and take notes. Press pause on the video and get what you need, and let's dive into this. I'll wait. Press pause, I don't have to wait here forever. Okay, ready? Okay, so the first thing we will talk about is the transition from super employee to CEO, and how to make sure that you're getting the best from your employees. Over the years, I have built and ran 4 different businesses. And when I started my first one, I used to be so proud of the fact that I can work anybody under the table. Can I get a me too? Because I'm sure that you're probably like that also. Most business owners that I know are just like that. I had the energy to work harder and longer than most people around me. And when one of my assistants took a little long to master a new skill or to finish a project, I would take it over and just get it done. Which meant that I was never able to focus completely on the task that I personally had to do. And also, I was constantly looking over the shoulders of my employees, trying to get them to do things faster and better. And that didn't seem like a bad idea at all until I realized that I am getting burned out from working in overdrive for so long while not making real progress in my business, while also aggravating the fire out of my employees and not allowing them to really take ownership of their work. I was also not being able to take a real vacation ever because I had to constantly be connected to my work, even when I was away. But most importantly for me was that I could not spend enough time with my son, even though in my mind I was doing everything for him anyway. I didn't want him to feel neglected because I was always working, and that was exactly what ended up happening. Now, as your business grows, you will have more sales, which means you will have more and more things to do and manage until you get maxed out and you cannot fit even one more thing on your plate. But the business keeps going, and if it is a good business and is trying to grow more, the quality of what you deliver to your clients will start to suffer. Now, a lot of the clients ask me to sell their businesses. They do that not because they're ready to retire, but because they're completely burned out. And I've seen it time and time again. When the owner gets burned out, the business is starting to decline. And many times the owner simply cannot get his drive back. So to avoid that in your own business, you just have to structure it smart and switch from super employees that work all the time harder than everybody else to CEO and the owner of the business. And the way to do that is to create a system that allows at least certain parts of your business to run efficiently and run without you, produce consistent results no matter who performs it, and can be evaluated without you having to micromanage. The system also has to allow your employees to self-evaluate their performance. Which brings me to step number 2. The management style and business setup that will allow you to take your life back and accomplish more while working less hours. So when I restructured that $8.6 million business that I told you about earlier, I studied in depth the organizational system of large companies like pharmaceutical companies, Amazon, Equifax, and others. And they all use the same principles when it comes to structuring their operations. And here are the top 3 principles that we use that you can use in your own business also. 1. As the president of your company, or even just the leader of your team, you have to learn to choose to do only the activities that produce the highest return in terms of revenue, and say no to everything else. You can either eliminate those no activities completely or delegate or outsource them. The problem that I had in my business when I started it, and the problem that my client had, and you may have it also, was that he didn't know how to delegate these activities the right way. So when we developed a way to delegate things confident that they will get done right, my client found it easier and easier to hand off more and more of his duties, because he saw that the system that we created works every time we hand things off. So once you have a good system in place, you have to focus in creating a habit for yourself to hand off any activity that's not the high return activity you decided that you should do as the owner. 2. The second principle has to do with how to create the system that allows you to delegate with confidence. And the way to do that is to make sure that the outcomes of the activities you hand off can be measured and reported. The activities that you delegate have to be handed off in a very clear way. Your team members that are expected to do these activities should be very clear on what is expected from them, how to do it, and when is the task expected to be completed. So going back to the first client I worked with years ago, I have created a system for him that my client was able to check on without micromanaging. And his team members can check on it too to make sure everything that is done the way it's expected to. So he didn't have to keep following people around and following up all the time to make sure that things get done, because the measuring tools that we put in place took care of that. And that allowed my client to not have to think at all about the items that he handed off and completely focus on the ones that he was still involved in. And that took off a huge amount of burden off his shoulders. So again, the second principle is to create a system with outcomes that can be measured and reported. The third principle is to create a measuring and reporting rhythm, a rhythm of evaluating your team's performance weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, not only to make sure that your team is performing well, but also to pay attention to trends and see which activities bring great results and which activities might need a little bit of adjusting. If you are interested in turning your business around and freeing a lot of your time and making the business run smoother and bring more consistent income this way, but the thought of going through all this learning curve and experimentation and trial and errors feels overwhelming to you, I mean, it took us 8 months to create the system and several years to fine-tune it. So if you want to get all these results, but the process seems overwhelming to you, you do have the option underneath this video to either schedule a call to discuss your business with me or simply enroll in the program, in our Simplify program. This is not a $10,000 program. It is low cost, it takes only 6 weeks to implement, and if you stay consistent with the systems implemented, it can double, triple, or grow your business even more while dramatically reducing the amount of time that you personally have to be involved in operations. Now let's talk about the next step in taking your business to the next level of growth, which is how to raise the bar and attract and retain more customers without spending more money on advertising. Now, once the internal part of your business is automated and set up on predictable and easy to replicate systems, you are set up to be able to handle business growth. And at this point, your focus should shift to growing the business and acquiring and retaining more customers. Now, one business area that has massive impact on both and can dramatically boost your sales and increase customer loyalty if done right is an area that can and should actually use a lot of automation. And this business area oftentimes gets neglected. So what I'm talking about, it's the customer experience that you provide, the feel your customers get when interacting with your business, from the moment they hear about it all the way to the moment the order is fulfilled. All big brands and corporations that are known for customer loyalty are very intentional with the customer experience they provide. Think about Apple versus any other competitor out there. Purchasing an iPhone, it's like going on a date with Thor, where buying a cell phone from any other competitor feels like dating the cute guy next door. Now, nothing wrong with a cute guy next door, of course, but if you want to feel like you have a very special experience that not everybody else gets to have, you will go for Thor, even for one single date, and you will be willing to spend extra money just to make sure it happens. So, thinking about Apple, from the Apple showrooms all over the country to the phones themselves to the high-end looking packaging Everything is meant to say you get way more when you get this phone. When in reality, there are no real advantages of buying iPhone versus Samsung, for example. They both do everything that a great phone should do these days. Now, if you say this to an Apple customer, though, they will literally get upset. And that is customer loyalty. That is a customer that will always buy from Apple and will convince their family and friends to do the same. And that is the kind of customer that you want for your business. And this is the most impactful and cheapest type of advertising that you can have. Automating this area of your business and strengthening your brand image is also one of the areas that we cover in our 6-week Simplify program, and is definitely one area you should focus on once your business is set up in a way that can handle growth. Now, again, if you don't want to waste your time and money trying to figure out how to do all this, but you want an easy to manage, easy to grow business that can run smoothly with or without you, you do have the option underneath this video to either schedule a call with me or simply enroll in our Simplify program. And we will show you step by step how to simplify your business for growth. I hope this video helps you and your business a lot. And if you need help, I'm here for you. Hope to see you on the inside.